Jon Krakauer, Under the Banner of Heaven, A Story of Violent Faith. Dive into a gripping exploration of faith's darkest corners with Jon Krakauer's Under the Banner of Heaven, A Story of Violent Faith. This book delves into the chilling intersection of religious fanaticism and violence, exemplified by the infamous Lafferty brothers in Utah, who claimed to carry out God's will in the most horrific manner. Krakauer weaves together the disturbing story of these brothers with the broader history of the Mormon faith, highlighting how fervent beliefs can drive individuals to extreme actions. From the early days of Joseph Smith's visions to the radical interpretations that emerged within the Lafferty family, this narrative exposes the perilous path of fundamentalism. Readers can expect an in-depth look at the origins and evolution of Mormonism, the societal pressures faced by its followers, and the dangerous allure of divine revelations that promise salvation at any cost. Prepare for a thought-provoking read that questions the boundaries between faith and fanaticism.
Divine Retribution. Imagine a gathering so charged with intensity, where the air is thick with the fervor of those who claim to speak with God. On April 5, 1984, such an assembly took place. Among these devoted prophets, the boldest revelation came to Ron Lafferty, who claimed God had instructed him to remove formidable obstacles from his divine plan. His brother's wife, their child, and two close associates were marked for death. In this circle of believers, Watson and Dan Lafferty stood by Ron, accepting this chilling command as divine truth, while others recoiled from the message. Ron's removal revelation was stark in its mandate, compelling him and his loyal brother Dan to fulfill what they saw as their spiritual duty. Bernard Brady, shocked by the gravity of the revelation, dutifully recorded his concerns to ensure future transparency. Allegiances shifted as Dan Lafferty embraced his role further, discovering personal revelations and defining himself as the executioner of God's will. Ron's words provided the orders, while Dan envisioned himself as the hand to carry them out. They shared this dark mission with their youngest sibling, Alan, who was appalled by their intentions against his wife, Brenda, and their child, Erica. Brenda, once a promising journalist, stood oblivious to the peril looming over her family due to her husband's silence. In the confines of their mother's dining room, Ron and Dan plotted undeterred. Their mother, Claudine, conditioned by a high birth of a faith. In 1823, a momentous encounter unfolded when the angel Moroni visited the young Joseph Smith, guiding him to an ancient treasure, a set of golden plates hidden in a hill in Palmyra, New York. These plates, inscribed with sacred writings in Egyptian hieroglyphics, were to become his once he reached maturity and found a spouse. Despite resistance from Emma Hale's father, who saw Smith as an unworthy suitor for his daughter, the pair defied familial disapproval and eloped to fulfill the divine conditions. Returning each year on the appointed date, Smith's persistence paid off in 1827. Armed with spectacles provided by Moroni, he translated the holy texts with Martin Harris, a neighbor and willing scribe. Trouble arose when Harris decided to show the translated manuscript to his skeptical wife, only for the pages to vanish mysteriously. Moroni, reclaiming the plates and spectacles, challenged Smith to innovate. Relying on an old treasure-hunting trick, Smith used his peeping stone within a hat to shield his vision from light, allowing him to decipher the scriptures anew. Though the translation concluded by June 1829, the lack of funds threatened the publication of the Book of Mormon. Another vision prompted Smith to inform Harris of his divine responsibility to finance the printing. Despite personal and marital strife, Harris sold his farm to honor this celestial command. The sacrifice bore fruit with the printing of 5,000 copies. A week after publication, Joseph Smith established the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, marking the inception of a new religious movement. Journey to Zion. 6 centuries before Christ, a Hebrew tribe led by Lehi left Jerusalem, seeking refuge in America. Lehi chose his younger son, Nephi, as a leader, causing resentment in his elder son, Laman. As Laman turned to evil, his followers' skin darkened, a phenomenon linked to the ancestry of Native Americans by Joseph Smith's revelations. This rift led to the annihilation of the Nephite, save for one, Mormon. His son, Moroni, delivered golden plates to Joseph Smith, setting events in motion that would profoundly shape history. Joseph Smith, claiming to have communication with the divine, founded a new religious movement, declaring his church as the sole true faith. His revelations, considered sacred, offered directives for the church's foundation, enshrined in the Doctrine and Covenants. Despite initial ridicule, Smith's teachings rapidly garnered over 1,000 converts near Palmyra in just a year. However, confronted with growing hostility, Smith received a divine command to lead the faithful to Zion, with a stopover in Kirtland, Ohio, before arriving in Jackson County, Missouri. In Missouri, tensions escalated as Mormons, perceived as an insular and nonconformist group, faced hostility. Their anti-slavery stance and communal tendencies incited violent conflicts, leaving many dead. Smith, in a bid for peace, offered himself for execution. Yet, public sympathy for the Mormons' plight led officials to halt the execution plans. Seizing an opportunity, the imprisoned saints escaped, crossing into Illinois to establish Nauvoo. In Nauvoo, however, new tensions simmered, challenging Smith's leadership from within. As the saints confronted fresh animosities, the saga of their quest for a secure haven persisted, underscoring their resilience and the turbulence of their journey. Polygamy's hidden legacy. Officially, the Mormon Church disavows polygamy, yet it permeates the history of its founder, Joseph Smith, and persists within various sections. This complex story finds its roots in Nauvoo, where Smith began his clandestine practice of celestial marriages, urging men to multiply and fill God's earth through multiple unions. Although he believed in his divine mission, Smith lacked the courage to reveal his actions to his wife, Emma, only hinting at his intentions, a strategy met with her disapproval. Recognizing societal resistance to his radical vision, Smith covertly enshrined polygamy as a theological principle in Section 132 of Doctrines and Covenants. Salvation, he asserted, was tied to these spiritual unions, with eternal damnation awaiting those who rejected this path. Conflict soon arose in 1844 when William Law, a church elder, supported Emma's stance and threatened public exposure. In response, as Nauvoo's mayor, Smith ordered a raid on Law's newspaper office, leading to his arrest. Smith's jail time in Carthage, Illinois, ended abruptly when he attempted escape, leaping 20 feet from a prison window. Though polygamy was underground during Smith's life, it came to wider acceptance in 1852 when Brigham Young, his successor, officially presented it to followers in Salt Lake City. This shocked many but swiftly integrated into mainstream Mormon doctrine, forming the backdrop against which the Lafferty brothers were raised. When Ron Lafferty and his siblings discovered these origins, they felt profoundly betrayed by the contemporary church, particularly as it had since abandoned polygamy to align with U.S. government demands and embraced racial inclusivity. Rejecting these modern adaptations, the Lafferty brothers delved into fundamentalism, much to the distress of their wives. They joined secluded communes, engaged in polygamy, and inflicted abuse. Ron, perceiving divine laws as supreme, quit his job and embraced life on the road, flouting human laws with reckless driving across Colorado City and beyond, resorting to drugs and alcohol for spiritual fulfillment. This obstinate dedication cost him his family when his first wife left with their children. His escalating radical beliefs categorized dissenters as enemies, leading to growing friction when the wives, desperate to curb the harm, turned to Brenda, the youngest, for intervention. Her attempts to mediate only further antagonized the brothers, laying bare the destructive path of their zealous convictions.
In conclusion, Under the Banner of Heaven offers a profound examination of how religious zeal can spiral into violence and tragedy. Jon Krakauer masterfully dissects the story of the Lafferty brothers, showcasing how unwavering belief in divine guidance can lead to the justification of heinous acts. Through this narrative, readers gain insights into the complexity of the human psyche when ensnared by radical ideologies. The book is a stark reminder of the potential perils when personal convictions override compassion and reason. It challenges us to consider the limits of faith and the responsibility of religious institutions to prevent the rise of extremist factions. By juxtaposing modern-day events with historical context, Krakauer not only provides a gripping true crime story but also prompts a broader reflection on the nature of belief and its capacity to both uplift and destroy. This compelling read serves as a cautionary tale of the dangers inherent in blind devotion.